Hi, Dr. Sasse here from the Continence Center at Sasse Surgical. Just talking about resolving bladder and bowel leakage or incontinence of the urinary or bowel system through sacral neuromodulation. And what does it mean that I have to undergo a trial testing of the sacral neuromodulation process or device? And what this trial really what it consists of, is a kind of a first step. And initially this was required by the FDA back nearly 20 years ago when neuromodulation was kind of a new concept. And the idea was that the doctors would test the success of the nerves and the muscles and being activated by the gentle current that's applied, and then let the person go home with a kind of a temporary version of it and try it out and see if it was actually helping. And this has worked well where neuromodulation has been used for other reasons, such as in pain management. And in our field, in the management of bladder and bowel continence, it is sometimes useful in the sense that we can really tell at the trial whether or not the muscles are going to have good engagement with our testing. And then the person gets to go home with a temporary version of the device, and that can often kind of give a good inkling that, oh my gosh, this is really working. I'm not having any leakage, no soaking pads, I'm not having bowel accidents, not having bladder accidents. So what goes on in the trial? What happens is that you come in our case it's to a surgery center environment, usually where we have x-ray or fluoroscopy is what we call it. And this is a very minor procedure. We numb up the skin with a little bit of local anesthetic over the tailbone area, and then we're placing two small cat whisker type leads down through the natural canals in the tailbone area, and then we're applying a gentle current in a couple of different ways, different sort of ways of programming that gentle current and adjusting the amplitude of that gentle current. And then we're watching to see both on the x-ray guidance if we have our position optimized, and on the response of the muscles to see if we get the pelvic floor lift and we get the bellows response of the sphincters. And in some cases we actually get a particular toe motion, the great toe flexing, that all tells us we're hitting and tickling just the right nerves. And so when we are able to elicit that response, especially when it's a good, strong response, that tells me that this whole idea of neuromodulation is going to work very well for that individual. And so I can impart that advice and let them know, hey, we're onto something really helpful here. This is very likely going to solve your problem. But then on top of that, we send the person home with one of the temporary devices. It's not placed under the skin, but it's just taped to the skin or put in a pocket. And then the person can go home and kind of see what it feels like for the first day or two. We know that the little cat whisker leads can slip and slide and move around, so they're not as precise at staying put right where we want them. And that's the reason why the temporary or the trial device does not work nearly as well as the permanent implant. So we always have to kind of counsel people that just be aware of that sometimes a person gets right up off the table and moves or twists or does something, and those cat whisker like temporary leads have already moved, and so they can't even really tell that it worked. Most of the time we tape them in there well enough so that they're able to at least get a sense of it in the first day or two. So if you're being told that there's a trial, this is what's involved in it. Really small procedure, usually takes 20 minutes or something like that. Go home, try it out, see if you're noticing that there's better, improved control of the bowel and bladder. And even if you're getting some improvement in the control, or you get some sense of reduction of overactive bladder, just know that the implant, the permanent device, always works much better. It's far superior, and it has a way of staying just perfectly in place and doesn't migrate around. And so you're very likely to get that excellent response that is normally obtained with sacral neuromodulation. Okay, I hope that's been helpful describing the trial of sacral neuromodulation. I wish you the very best success resolving that frustrating problem.